This is a HeadGum podcast.
You got mail.
Hi, I'm Elise Morales.
And I'm Millie Tamares.
And this is
Go Touch Grass,
the podcast where we log in.
so you can log off.
Millie and I are two chronically online comedians, and on this pod, we break down the week in internet discourse, viral memes, TikTok trends, and niche influencer drama so that you can go do literally anything else.
Anything else with your time. And if you like what you hear today and want to hear more, we have a Go Touch Grass Patreon already up and running with tons more content weekly, access to our Discord channel, and a spin-off series, Search History. We go back and break down a viral discourse from the past. This week, we get into who knew pajamas could cause so much drama.
Pajama drama.
Hashtag Pajamagate is going down live on TikTok right now. And we talk about it in our latest episode that released last weekend. So if you want to know what's getting the Christian mom influencers all up in a tizzy, then you got to get on our Patreon.
On in the matching pajama for family space.
Christmas morning pajama matching has never seen so much drama.
And finally, don't forget to leave us a 5-star rating and review. We love reviews. We need more of them. But the best review you can give us is to tell your friends. Tag us in a little story. We will repost it. You know that we're online.
We're always online. That's the tagline. Also, for our holiday episode, special announcement for the pod, we're doing a mailbag. So if you have any questions for us personally, anything you want us to research or talk about or anything at all, please feel free to email us at gotouchgrasspod@gmail.com, or you can DM us any of our socials. We might choose them for the show. Somebody DM'd us and is like, are you aware of the wood soup girl who does wood soup ASMR? And I'm like, no. And she's like, look into it, give her a shout out. And I'm like, okay. And the girl's like, well, if she's racist, like, it's not for me, you know? Like, and I'm like, yeah.
Do we know?
We don't know.
We have to look into it.
Okay.
These are the things you can ask us to look into for our mailbag episode. But today, we have a very special guest here on the pod. He's in studio with us. He's a content creator, non-derogatory.
Complimentary. Parentheses, complimentary.
So complimentary that we were both like, we just like this person's videos so much. We're going to cold DM them and see if they'll come on the pod.
Yes.
He's a content creator who focuses on books, culture, and sociology. You may know him as Tell the Bees on TikTok or Telling the Bees on Substack, where he has over 100,000 subscribers. It's Josh Lora.
Yay!
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me.
We're so excited to have you on the pod.
Yeah. You truly are our first just cold DM of like, I like what this person has to say about stuff.
That means a lot to me. Thank you so much. I am the way that you guys are very online. I'm very in the DMs. So like everyone who DMs me is like, hey, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, thank you so much. Like it's sort of weird because I'm like, maybe I'm not in like a weird way, but like maybe I'm too big to be responding to every single DM. But like
no, you
maybe
gotta check through.
Exactly.
Fine-tune comb. See what's real, see what's not. And we didn't scam you yet.
We've only just begun.
We don't have rights to that song. Well, Josh, okay. So I've always been a fan. I've always been a fan. I love your Housewives take. I love your stuff. But something tingled in me when you said in one of your videos, like I heard for the first time that you're Dominican.
Yes.
Because I'm also Dominican. Also, like I also study sociology, and that's the whole thing.
Yeah,
so
there's a lot of synergy.
There's a lot of
here.
synergy.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. I mean, my thesis in college was about the sociology of nightclub culture, which is sociological theory, nightclub culture, and gender performance, and all that. Anyway,
that's very New York. I
very
like that.
New York. I grew up in Miami, so
also
very
very Miami actually. Yeah,
very
I see that.
Very Miami. I'm curious to hear how you feel like your Dominican Caribbean background affects how you engage with culture. And and this sparked in me because of something you were sharing about the loneliness epidemic, but I know that has a lens or that has a tie to you. So I'm curious on how you feel like that impacts like how you're viewing things and trends.
No, that's such a good question. Wow. I hadn't really thought about that. I think previously, okay, so I'm going to like take it back a little bit. I didn't really think about it seriously until, did you watch Black Cake on Hulu?
No.
So it was a book first, and I should know who the author is. It'll come to me. Charmaine Wilkerson. And it's written about this Jamaican family. And I did this video on like the sociology of like the eldest son versus youngest daughter dynamic. And I found myself really identifying with like the parents and that very Caribbean, which, you know, that very Caribbean thing of like, get a grip, get your shit together, get a job, go like fix yourself up, like cry about it later. And I have been told when I was talking about like Sierra on Summer House, or like when I do my situationship videos, people will come into my comments and they're like, you have no empathy. And I'm like, well, I don't need empathy. You need to get a job. Like, I'm sorry. Just like get yourself together. And then I like talked about it with my therapist because I kept hearing that I had no empathy for people. And people were like screaming, crying, throwing up. And I'm like, I don't know. Sorry. Get it together. And I was like, wait, this is so Dominican of me. I'm like, I would talk about my grandma being so cold and my mom being so cold and everyone in my family having like no access to their emotions and no sympathy for other people. And then I was like, I need to work on that. So
I mean, but it's that thing, especially like, again, being like first generation, I don't know if you are, but like your family couldn't access their emotions because they're just trying to fucking survive.
Right.
So when you're surviving, they're working all the time. So you don't have time to access. So in a way there's that, but then obviously the toxic thing and specifically the loneliness epidemic was just like, as we were talking about the Ice Spice and Cleotrapa of it all, and like
we get into all of it on the pod.
We get on to all of it. We were talking about like the come sola, like how like one of the biggest sins that you can do as a Caribbean person is not offer someone food, not be invited, and all that stuff, and like, you know, one of your TikToks was talking about like how people are talking about how they're lonely, but they're not doing anything to engage in community too. So it's so funny. I was like leaning towards that, and you're like, my family's cold.
No. Okay, I will. Also, I'll get back on track.
Both of them are no. Both of them are good and valid. But it's like both sides too. Yeah.
It is something. God, this is gonna turn into a therapy podcast. Where I'm like, my therapist said, but. No, what you brought up is really serious and like important, where I think there has been a sort of breakdown of etiquette, right? Like when I did the like say hi to cashiers discourse, or should cashiers say hello discourse, the greater overall thought was that there are like in that Gen Z etiquette video that I did a couple of weeks ago, it's like you say, I'm so lonely, I have no friends, I never go outside, all I do is like sit on my phone and like watch Netflix or Hulu or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, but you also don't want to talk to your coworkers. You don't want to say hi to people. You don't want to say hi to cashiers. You don't want cashiers to say hi to you. So it's like all of these things are connected. And when I did the like larger overall video, I was saying, like, I wasn't saying we should like destroy capitalism or whatever other people were saying. All I said was that politeness is like breaking down in our society. And there's like a direct correlation with the loneliness epidemic, where it's like, you guys hate people. You hate everything people do. Everything is cringe. Everything is boring. Everything is whack. But then at the same time, you're like, why doesn't anyone like me? Why don't I have any friends? I'm like, hello? Like,
the correlation.
Yeah, so that brings me to a piece you wrote on your Substack that I love called The Mainstreaming of Loserdom, where you talk about kind of these conversations that will come up online. Like you just referenced, there was a conversation for a while about if your cashier should say hello to you. And like, is that labor? Is that too much to ask?
Oh my God.
People going back and forth. Why should the cashier doesn't have to say hello to you? Like just weird stuff being said. But you kind of talk about how like these popular narratives on social media have led to a glorification of like loser-ish behavior. I'd love for you to give our listeners just a quick mini summary of that piece that you wrote and how you feel like that has happened online.
In other ways too, not just like the hello, but like in other ways too.
Yeah, and I think it keeps coming up. Like I try not to talk about the same thing over and over again, but I feel like on Substack especially, I've just been like hitting the same note for like 3 months now. But the mainstreaming of loserdom, I literally wrote in like one afternoon before I went on vacation in August, and it was something I'd been thinking about for like all of this year, where I had been seeing this, and longer, honestly, because I've been on Twitter for 16, 17 years. My God, it's horrifying saying that
It's
out
hard
loud.
to think about it.
I was like, oh.
Put a pin in that. Put a pin in that.
I've been on Tumblr, I've been on Reddit, I've been on TikTok for 3 years, and I'm just like, this sort of pattern of behavior has emerged where people are like, all I want to do is stay home and sleep and like watch TV and be on my phone, right? And so there are a lot of different pieces of this, right? Because like, obviously I had to address the like mental health epidemic, and I'm like, if you're depressed, I'm not talking to you. Or like, if you are on the spectrum, I'm obviously not talking to you. But like the two things that I'm seeing are just like people refusing to go outside, to like engage with their community, to like understand that people in their lives, right? Their coworkers, their classmates, if they're younger, their like friends, boyfriends, their friends, like all of these people are real people that exist in your society,
Mm-hmm.
and you're saying, I don't want to hang out with anyone. All I want to do is like
Bed
watch
rot.
Netflix
Yeah.
and like rot. And I'm like, well, why are you so upset? Like, why are you so unhappy, right? Like, to me, the two things are very, very clearly correlated, where, as I said in the piece, like, if all you do is stay home and like are on your phone and like watching TV or whatever, that obviously that's not good for you. It's not productive. You're not generating anything. You're like, your mind is rotting. Like, you think it's just your body, but it's also your mind. And I didn't expect it to be controversial. Like, I titled it to be a little bit messy, obviously, for engagement. But then at the same time, I was like, no, I stand by this. Like, people came for me. And then when I always cross post, so I posted it to TikTok a couple of days later. And of course, the children emerged from their caves.
The children emerged is such a...
And I'm like, here we go. But like, again, I think my problem is that I grew up on Stan Twitter. So like, I will go back and forth in the comments. And I was like, no, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I'm older than you. I go outside. I'm outside. I had a Brett summer. I party all the time. Like, I have a huge group of friends. And like, sorry if that sounds like I'm bragging, but like, you guys are the ones that are posting about, I love sleeping. I love being on my phone. My screen time is 19 hours a day. And I'm like, how are you telling me I'm the problem for being mean to you? Someone else needs to be mean to you. Like, you guys, again, and this is the Caribbean thing, being like, you need to get it together. Like, get out of bed, go outside, say hello to someone. Like, I'm not saying you need to like go out and like rip lines, but like, do something.
Go have a social life.
Say hi to
Would
someone.
you say they need to go touch grass?
Yes.
We have a friend who, after the results of the last election, went on a nationwide Zoom for a large progressive organization, right? The Zoom has like 1,500 people on it. At some point, they're going to go into breakout rooms, right? And they're like, you're going to go in the breakout.
Zoom's like organizing a huge movement.
Yeah, I don't want to say like the organization necessarily, but think of it as like if it was like Working Families Party or like some like big ticket organization. They're talking about their organizing goals in light of the recent election and what they have in the future, whatever. They're like, now let's go into breakout rooms and meet each other. And immediately my friend said, someone posted in the chat and they're like, what if I have social anxiety and like I can't go in the breakout room? And it's just like, I'm so sorry, but if you want to start a grassroots movement within your community, you are going to have to go cameras on in the breakout room. Like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I know it's annoying, but
Yeah, like, if you want to affect change, like,
you are going to have to introduce yourself to the people on the Zoom.
From the comfort of your home, yeah.
And like, that's something that I've also talked about on TikTok 2 years ago when I first got on TikTok. I am a Tumblr veteran. So like, I immediately have been clocking the rise of like call out culture. And this is something I'm actually writing about this week, where it's like a lot of online leftists think that like calling someone racist or homophobic or fatphobic or ableist is activism. Like, you're done. And I'm like, but sweetie, these things still exist. Like, you're not doing anything. All you're doing is calling someone else a name. And like, yes, you're spreading awareness of the problem, but like, this isn't activism. This isn't like, go to a DSA meeting. Like, go meet someone, go organize. But you can't say, this is the most important cause in my life. Like, I'm a diehard leftist. I'm going to take down capitalism, but don't ask me to speak to anyone, because like...
Don't ask me to speak, and I'm also not going to vote. I'm not going to go to my... like, mutual aid, like, whatever.
That's a whole other thing.
It's a whole other thing, you know, but it's a free country. For now.
That's what we've been.
That's what we've been saying. Is that it's a free country for now.
So you mentioned being in the trenches of Stan Twitter, Tumblr. So you've been on the discourse streets. I'm gonna send it over to Millie now. We're gonna talk about. You said you had 16 years on Twitter.
Yeah.
Been on Twitter since the beginning. I mean, I technically am off, but I'm on the Go Touch Grass Twitter, looking and faving things. Millie's still technically on there, but there's been a lot of developments in the space of Twitter.
So yeah, we have our segment called What the Musk. We haven't done it in a while. Yeah. We will probably have to do that really soon because it's too disturbing.
It's scary. I'm like, oh, that name.
Yeah, I know. But basically, specifically this past week, since the election, people have been leaving Twitter en masse. Also, starting November 15th, there's a new terms of service where all tweets can be used for Grok, to train
Grok,
which is the AI. We talked about Grok. It's the AI bot that Elon wants to like jump off.
And it'll be like, you, sir, are most certainly an epic ninja. Like, it talks like that.
It talks like, it's supposed to be like a funnier, edgier, non-woke ChatGPT.
Oh god.
So they want you. So you're gonna have
First
access to the tweet. So a lot of people are leaving, and people, as a result, people are joining. 1 million users a day are joining Blue Sky, and now Blue Sky is at like something close to 20 million users, which is crazy. But speaking of people who have really great Substacks, I saw this excerpt from JP Brommer's Substack.
King.
And King. I'm
Love
like
him.
very, very similar. You guys are in conversation. I don't even. Are you guys friends?
No, I think we've been at some of the same parties. We've like said hello, but we've never like spoken. But I'm a huge fan. I've followed him on Twitter for like ever.
So JP Brommer is a author and I don't want to say like thought leader, but like definitely like a cultural commentator. And he has he at one point had like almost 200,000 Twitter followers. So he like amassed this following. So he kind of wrote this piece about like how everyone's leaving Twitter and why he's leaving Twitter. And I just wanted to read like just a few paragraphs very quick, and then we can react to it. So, okay. While most of my arguments against X could reasonably be classified as ad hominem, that's not to say there aren't more practical issues at play. Since laying off a significant chunk of the people who are holding Twitter together and insinuating a verification system that gamified engagement, the place has felt downright janky on a user level experience. When I see an actual human interaction on the app that isn't some verified account trying to earn a pittance by engagement farming, it feels out of the norm. Yet even still, I might have held on. Janky products are one thing, but that's not all X is. It's also a psychological experiment to put the boundaries of how annoyed I can be by one man. It's not the fact that X is trying to psyop me into engaging with right-wing talking points that drives me nuts, but that it's doing so without so much as a whiff of tact. It's not merely that Musk is a Trump supporter, as so many CEOs doubtlessly are. It's that he's sensitive, volatile, vindictive, and obvious. And him being obvious is why I know those other things about him. And I know that he's obvious because I'm on X, the Elon Musk app, where even blocking him offers no respite from experiencing him. In summary, I've been successfully irritated off the platform. The whole site smells strongly of Musk's desperation to be adored, that it's activated my natural tendency to be withholding from people I consider pathetic. I find I can no longer tolerate the cringe. Musk putting his own post in my face every day because he cares so deeply about his engagement metrics is cringe. His epic memes from Reddit circa 2012 are cringe. His incessant LARPing as Tony Stark is cringe. His pretending to be so above chess because it's, quote, too simple is cringe.
Oh,
Highly publicly sucking up to Donald Trump is cringe. Remember when conservatives accused Jack Dorsey of being too liberal? It's hard to imagine Jack constantly bleeding all day about how if he didn't vote for Hillary, Trump would send him to prison. One had the luxury of forgetting Jack Dorsey existed at all. Not so much with Elon and X. Oh, quickly returning to Donald Trump, the man for whom Musk murdered Twitter and offered it like a cat offers its owner a dead bird on a porch. Ooh. Their relationship gives us an X-ray vision into Musk's gelatinous spine. Remember in 2022 when Trump said he could have told Musk to, quote, drop to your knees and beg, and that he would have done so? Say what you will about the man, but Trump is a seasoned bully. I'm sure their burgeoning friendship will turn out splendidly for them both. The scorpion and the frog move in together and live happily ever after, if I remember correctly. So
really good.
I love that expert because that's literally repeating so many things that we've like talked about on this pod, specifically about Elon. That he's a nerd. Literally, before I read this out loud, you were talking about his stupid grok, like, fucking
we were already like, it's so, yeah, his pursuits are very cringe, as this said, and I definitely resonate with this idea of being irritated off of Twitter, because when I got rid of my personal Twitter account, it was because it became more transparent to me the degree to which the app was trying to serve me things that would just bother and upset me. And I was just like, okay, I saw it so clearly that I was like, I have to just get rid of my presence here, because the only thing that this is doing is trying to drag me into weird holes and show me stuff, like insane right-wing people who are actually rage baiting, and I'm not even following this person, but it's being filtered into my feed now because of how the new Twitter works. And it's like I'm seeing stuff from people that I would never want to see stuff from ever, that I purposefully have not gone to their page to follow them, and this app is still going to serve this stuff to me because that's the ethos behind it now. Yeah.
It's terrifying. It's weird, but when you were reading it, the first thing that came to mind was like
I can't read.
That one line from Bodies, 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 where she's like, we're not even friends, we're just like suffering under the weight of our shared like memories or whatever. And I feel like I've been on Twitter since I was 16 years old, and I like have a bunch of people there that I've followed literally for like their whole lives, right? Like we all went to college, we all like grew up, people are married, people have kids, and I'm just like, I've met some really, really great friends there. And I'll like log on 3 times a day, like see what's going on, scroll past the right wing ads and just like pretend that I don't know what's happening. But it is definitely causing us like psychic damage. Like I think about even in the last 2 years, it seems like people have just gotten so much like angrier and more upset. Like I'm thinking about like Chilligate or the woman who liked having like coffee with her husband, and then they were like,
right, and that's
kill yourself.
That was a load-bearing tweet, or what was that? Like one of the no, that wasn't a load-bearing tweet, but that was what we classify as like, we don't have a word for that yet. Of like,
just like, I mean, that person was a Twitter main character, I guess.
Yeah, Twitter main character, but like where the outsized reaction does not match. Like like the Alice the Fish guy, and
where it sparks a conversation that you would have never imagined would be sparked, and it's because it feels like it's, to go back to like the mainstreaming of loserdom, it's this like antisocial place at this point where it's like you're looking for a reason to be mad that someone posted, I have coffee with my husband every morning, or someone says, should I give chili to my neighbors? And you're looking for a reason why that would be bad instead of thinking about the fact that in most cases it's fine to give chili to your neighbors.
Yeah, and also like just things that you just wouldn't say to somebody in person, in their face. Like, so if you're like, I had a really nice like coffee with my husband on my porch, or like, cool, great, like that's awesome, like whatever. But like,
you wouldn't be like, must be nice.
Because I don't have a husband, because I was like, Jesus Christ,
good Lord.
And going back to Blue Sky has like these starter packs that make it easy to mass block people, like, or mass follow too, where like there's this one starter pack. It's like this collection of accounts that are all kind of related, right? So if you want to follow like all of Black Twitter, or all of Book Twitter, or all of whatever, Blue Sky, I would say, right? They're all like in this quote starter pack, right? But now they have a MAGA starter pack where anyone who has like MAGA, Trump, whatever, you can automatically block them like preemptively. Like, and anyone who joins who has that in their bio will get onto the list, so you'll never see, because that's also a thing of like, Elon has changed the rules where like even if you block people, you can still see their shit.
Which
like,
is
they
crazy.
can still see your
We're
shit.
Haunted.
It's like you're haunted by them, and they're like, there's no like cutting ties.
Because Elon Musk doesn't want people to block him. That's what's so wild is that all of these decisions are made around the fact that Elon Musk wants to be the king of Twitter and wants everyone to see his tweets and be like, haha, hilarious, Mr. Musk. Like,
well, and then he's getting it. But the thing is, he killed Twitter in the he's being the king of something that wasn't what isn't what it was.
Yeah.
There was a really good part of the JP Bremer excerpt as well when he says, because that's something that I do that's very like New York, when, and sorry that I keep bringing that up, my friends always make fun of me. They're like, you can't go more than 5 minutes without bringing up that you're from New York. And I'm like,
I
can. You got to.
And
any guest that comes on that's not from New York, we're like, say why New York is better than the city you're in.
Because it's like, so you live in LA, but you're in New York, so why is New York better? And they're like,
literally every time.
So we have a gun to them.
No, but it's like so New York that like the obvious desperation with which he needs to be liked is so cringe.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't know, I think I've written about this, but even if I haven't, like I've talked about it on TikTok, where it's like, oh yeah, I did write about this in January. It's like, you have so much money. You have all of this like power. You have adoration from all these right-wing losers. Like, why do you need us to like you? Like, why do you care that we don't want to see your tweets? Like, we're technically nobody in the grand scheme of things. Like, you're at Mar-a-Lago, party with Trump. Like, leave us alone. Why are you
Right? You got
it's
everything you wanted,
exactly.
man. You gotten everything you
Yeah.
wanted.
Except for the love of Grimes and
The love of
his
Grimes.
trans child, right?
Well,
but like,
Well, and also he doesn't live on Mars yet, or
Oh,
whatever.
God.
It is.
Well,
Please
hopefully.
go to Mars.
I know.
God,
I would
please.
love if he would
Hopefully.
go.
And even that's like a conversation too that is had about just billionaires in general, because that's like a conversation that happens with Chrissy Teigen a lot. Of like, you're rich, you're famous, you're powerful. Like, why do you also want to be well liked? Like, why is it contingent like that you try to be this like? I mean, I don't necessarily agree, but like, this is the argument and stuff. But it's like, yeah, it's like, man, people hate me and I'm broke as fuck. And I'm still living like I'm not trying to, like, and back to the fucking X of it all. Like, I'll see some people follow me, like, and I have to look through when people follow me on Twitter. I look through to see like what are they about, like,
yeah.
because sometimes people will follow me like as rage because they're like, it says Trump 2020 and all this shit. And I'm
Yeah.
like, they're waiting for me to fuck up so they can do some libs of TikTok shit. I'm like, hell no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
I'm like, I don't care if those people don't like me. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
That's something that's very, like, I think once upon a time, that was one of the good things of X, was that, no, actually, no, that's one of the bad things of X, where I think a lot of us were traumatized too young, so we have, like, a very thick skin. Like, I always tell people, we were, like, 17, 18, like, people were calling me a slave because I didn't like Nicki Minaj. Like, it was crazy. So I have, like, this incredibly thick skin, because I'm, like, nothing that, like, a 14-year-old on TikTok can say to me is gonna, like, hurt my feelings. You know what I mean?
Well, I
And
just
they,
feel like
like-
that's by nature of being a person of color too.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
And,
And,
like,
like, to go back to
I
it.
think, right? I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Like,
Well,
I don't know if you're
imagine.
I'm
No,
like,
no.
I don't know. I don't know. Like, well, I don't know anyone's alphabet. I'm not assuming.
But to like bring up what we were talking about at the very beginning, where it's like that's also like part of the intersection of identities, where it's like I'm fine with people not liking me because I'm like a first gen queer Dominican man who's like, yeah, some people are just not gonna like you, and I think you get that too, where it's like some people aren't gonna like you off rip, like looking at you like as a woman, as
Yeah.
whatever.
Exactly.
They're like, you are not worth my time. I'm not gonna take you seriously. So it also builds this like reverse thing where you're like, well, I don't actually care if you like me or not because like we are not the same kind of person, like spiritually, and
Yeah.
like I don't need you to like me. Like I don't feed off of attention
But
that
then
way.
that makes them mad, you know, and that's like the whole like discourse about like white men are tired of being bullied and like
Oh my
like
God.
everyone's like they're mad at and Democratic Party isn't like addressing white men's issues, and I'm like, yeah, welcome to being like a person of color and a woman and all this stuff. It's like that to whatever. And also, yeah, you want to fat shame me? Like my family's fat shame me worse than, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like that. Welcome to the jungle, baby.
Yeah.
which
Before
is
we
very
move
Dominican.
on, it is very Dominican. That's like, oh, you just gave me like, I'm thinking about Thanksgiving next
Yeah.
week. And I'm like,
oh
oh.
no, yeah.
I have a Chrissy Teigen hot take.
Oh, I-
Before we
tell
move
us.
This
on.
is the
Chrissy
place.
Teigen hot
This is
Okay,
absolutely the
hottest of takes. I think, I don't know, someone has probably already said this, but like Chrissy Teigen should just like be a housewife. Like I don't know why
on
she
Real
hasn't.
Housewives?
Yeah, I don't know
Of
why she
Beverly
hasn't done
Hills?
this. Like she has this
Mm.
bottomless chasm of like need for attention
Yeah.
that like
Mm.
just go on TV. Like Instagram isn't enough. Like TikTok isn't enough. She needs the attention that only a Bravo show can give her.
Wow.
No, that's
I love
actually
that.
so
I've never even
true.
thought of that. Yeah.
That's so true because you can tell like in the way that she's had to deal with like difficult moments in
Yeah.
life. She'll post through it and then there's always this like discourse around like should she have posted
Posted
this?
that,
Oh.
yeah.
Like,
It's- the
what does
answer's
it
always
mean?
no.
Yeah.
And it's like if you were just on Real Housewives, you could put it all on
Yeah,
the show,
yeah.
and everyone would be like, "Well, it's a reality show, so actually you do put everything out there." And it's not this. She wouldn't have to constantly be fighting this narrative of like, "Why did you choose to post this?" It would be like, "This is just what happened while we were filming the show." She can kind of hide behind that unfolding of events.
Exactly.
So I guess my thing is like, for her to want to be a housewife, like, which I don't know. I guess people don't go in thinking they're gonna be the villain, but like, you have to relinquish some kind of control.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that like you don't know if you're gonna get the villain edit or not, and like that's always a possibility, and it rotates from season to season.
Yeah.
Anyway, like who's the villain, and I just don't know. I think she has this endless, insatiable need of like wanting to be whatever, but I'm also like, I don't know if she wants to ever be the villain.
That's true.
Yeah.
And like it's interesting because for her, I think it's sort of the Trish Paytas thing or Trisha Paytas, where it's like if you just post through it, then no one will care about your previous cancellation because
Mm-hmm.
you're always being canceled.
Yeah.
You're always in the tornado of cancellation. So Trisha Paytas is like, yeah, whatever. Like, you just post and I'm fine. But like, for her, I think you're right, where it's like she needs to control the narrative as well. But like, she can't have her own show because it would be boring. Like,
Yeah.
we don't want to see her hang
Yeah.
out with her like 4 kids and John Legend.
Yeah.
Like, she needs some friction there. I don't know, and they would like suck up to her on Beverly Hills anyway because she's actually famous
Yeah.
and
Well,
very rich.
But then, you know, I don't know, because look at Denise Risser. Like,
That's true,
Yeah,
like
they were
Queen.
really mean.
like, I don't know,
R.I.P.
they'll
Denise.
bully her. They kind of don't care.
R.I.P. Denise.
R.I.P.
Okay. This actually segues us perfectly
Yes.
into today's discourse. So, the discourse is our segment where we talk about something that is generating a lot of conversation online. So, as we're discussing celebrities, celebrity narratives, how celebrities control the narrative,
Mhm.
today's discourse is Ariana Grande and Ethan Slater.
You set me up.
And we
I'm
did
actually
set you
leaving.
up,
Like,
John.
I'm walking out of this. I can't do this.
No.
I cannot do
Queer
this.
Dominican, you sit your ass down and talk
Oh my
about American
God.
cheating.
Lord.
So, Josh, you have a playlist on TikTok. One of the things you talk about is this concept of American cheating, how celebrity relationships that started with one or both people cheating can be laundered through the
Mhm.
media. And I feel like we've been seeing a lot of the stuff you talk about play out in real time
Yes.
with the Ariana Grande and Ethan Slater relationship. And just for the listeners, I promise I'm going to stop bringing up musicals, but musicals have just been
No,
what's
that's your beat.
we're discoursing on musicals. It's been happening
your
a lot
beat.
lately. It kind
Listen,
of is my beat.
yeah, your beat, my beat is like crazy ratchet Twitter and like the gay kid who flew out to the one for
Oh,
the
that was
flew out to fight a Nicki
crazy.
Minaj
Oh my
hater.
God.
That was before your time, Andrew. But this one Nicki Minaj stan flew from Los Angeles to Arizona to fight somebody who said Nicki Minaj sucks. So that's my beat. And guys, the grass hole will not disappoint.
No,
but it's
but-
okay. Like the musicals are your beat because I am nowhere near.
But I just
that.
feel like it's been coming up so much lately, and I'm like,
Because
I
of
don't know,
Wicked.
bro. You know, it's because of Wicked. It's because
I mean, they
things
want.
are
This is
popping
what they
off.
want.
General question for you both before we like get into the Ariana and Ethan of it all, because I am like the Broadway TikTok
Mhm.
correspondent. My entire FYP is basically all Wicked stuff at this point. Have your guys' FYPs been taken over by Wicked stuff? Millie's saying not at
No.
all. Josh, yes.
I think it's weird. I like love that you brought that up because it started today. I don't know what I watched or what I commented on, but like all day it's been like clips from them performing one of the songs.
Yes.
And like there's like a documentary. I don't know what I'm watching, but
I
I'm
keep
just like,
watching clips of
where is this
something
from?
that
Like-
seems like it's a documentary about the
Yeah.
making of Wicked, but it's just little clips, and I
Yeah.
do keep wondering. I'm like, where is this from? Because it's always like John M. Chu being like, "This is how we chose her for the
Yes.
role," and then like behind the scenes stuff, and I'm like, where is this coming from?
like the movie's not out. How are we watching the documentary of the making of a movie that's not out
yeah,
yet?
and it's
Like,
always from like a random. It's not like necessarily from the official Wicked channels and
None of
other
them.
stuff. So I am kind of like.
They
What?
paid a bunch of gay guys to.
To clip, I do
But the
believe
little-
that.
I mean, talk about what is it? The little monkey. The little
The
like
flying
the flying
monkeys.
flying monkey.
Yes.
Absolutely.
There's a
They
flying
sent
monkey
them out.
bots of like floating thing. So my FYP, it's so funny because our friend is a writer at Jezebel, and she was talking about, she wrote this article about the rise of the 4B movement, and she's like, yeah, because all my FYP is about how the 4B movement isn't working, and I'm like, really? My FYP is about like it's just straight up misandry at this point. My FYP, and she's like, really? And I'm like, yeah, and I gave her like 6 creators that are like, this is why men do not exist, and like just all like. So that's my FYP is like looking at someone, glancing someone in a reality show, and then the person pausing, and it's like, you see, look at this body language. This is why men don't deserve rights. Like I'm getting radicalized on that side.
But is Wicked making it in at all?
A
or
little
is it
bit,
just
but not
like,
really,
But not
no.
in the same way. Because literally, I went on TikTok this morning, and because I engaged with all of these clips and stuff,
Yeah.
every single video that was being served to me was about Wicked. And I was like, this is actually crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like not since Barbie have we seen a press tour as encompassing. But this
Yeah.
one, Andrew and I were talking before you guys got here about how this one, the tone of it is so different. Like the Barbie press tour was about like meme generation,
Yeah.
it felt like. And this one is about viral moments of Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande crying about their beautiful friendship.
It's so weird because it seems like the Barbie set, but obviously we weren't there, disclaimer. That's how you know that I'm online, because I'm like, before anyone comes for me, this is my opinion.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
But like everyone was so happy, like Hari Nef and Margot Robbie and all these people were doing interviews and they're like, this was the best time I ever had. This was the greatest 6 months of my life. Cut to Wicked, they're holding hands, sobbing, screaming, crying, throwing up on the red carpet at every, like the red carpet in Portugal, the red carpet in London, in Paris, in New York. And I'm like, are you guys well? Like,
and I feel like now we're getting like discourse around like I'm seeing two camps where there will be people who are like, it's a little weird that they're crying in all the press conferences, and then other people will be like, let people enjoy things, they love each other so much. And I'm like, I do think that they had a very intensely emotional experience working together on the set of Wicked and creating this film, for sure. But it feels a little naive to me not to at least consider how this narrative that they built, this impenetrable friendship that changed them for good, does not wrap into the exact narrative of Galinda and Elphaba in the Wicked movie, of them like building the most beautiful and powerful friendship of magic. Like,
yeah.
I'm also just like, once you realize that every human being is just a grown child, and it's like, these are theater kids.
Yeah, well, that's also true.
Like, they're doing their, like, SNL is sketch comedy with an unlimited budget. Wicked is a theater kid's dream.
Yes,
and like how mean and catty and weird and emotional the theater kids were, like they are doing it. Like, so it's like, I don't know, it's like you walk by where they announce the casting and all this stuff, and all the theater kids are in that, and for me, I just have like and I'm like, okay, like I'm looking the other way.
There, I'm crying.
Yeah, that they're all crying and emotional. I'm like, yeah, that's just theater kids are gonna theater kid.
There is certainly a level of theater kiddery that's happening here for sure, and I think that is on display in the Ariana and Ethan relationship, because prettiest girl in the show and only straight guy in the show, that's, you know,
tale as old as
that
time.
tale as old as time. That's an enduring bond that has happened since the beginning of productions.
And they just seem so deeply earnest in a way that, again, like JP Brammer said, is so off-putting to me. I'm like, you guys need to like take it down several notches. It's like a little bit like a lot for me, but I'm also not like, I'm gay, so I'm accustomed to theater kid energy, but like I'm not a theater kid. I'm just like on the periphery of it, and I'm always like, please, like stop. This is too much.
See, it's like I definitely engage it. I've been a theater kid, so I'm like, I see it for what it is, and I can feel the pull of the theater kiddery. I am not immune to getting emotional about the Wicked movie. Okay, that's not.
She's wearing a bow on her head, guys.
Yeah, that wall is not fully up, but there is still a part of me that came up in the trenches of the early internet where I'm like, okay, but also this is getting a little, we're getting a little too earnest. We're getting a little too emotional.
Guys, who is Ethan Slater?
Okay, so now we're gonna, So let's get into, to remind our listeners, we're gonna do the background of the Ariana Grande, Ethan Slater relationship. So Ariana Grande and Ethan Slater are both in Wicked. If you're listening to this, I imagine you know who Ariana Grande is. Ethan Slater is a Broadway guy. He's most famous for playing SpongeBob in the SpongeBob musical, which I will say I did see, and he was really good.
Unfortunately,
was he smashable?
You know, I don't see SpongeBob like that, so it's hard to be smashable when you're playing SpongeBob.
But he was really good.
But he was very talented.
Who's canonically a child, right? Like SpongeBob is a little kid.
I don't think so. No, he has a job.
Oh, okay.
I think he's an adult man.
I was a kid when I was watching it, so I'm like, SpongeBob is 7. What do you mean?
He has the pure heart and joy of a child.
Yes.
Big Bird is 6.
That's who I'm thinking of.
But SpongeBob is a grown man.
SpongeBob is 50.
Okay, here's a philosophical question before we even continue. How old do you think we're supposed to understand SpongeBob to be?
30.
Yeah, I would say
30-year-old man.
I mean, he lives alone, and he has a minimum wage
30.
job, and he has like grown adult friends who also live alone. Like no one has roommates, you know, in Bikini Bottom.
So true. No one has roommates in Bikini Bottom.
And they all hate their lives.
And they all
which
hate
is
their
how
lives.
you know that they're not 21.
Yeah, they're not. Well, I feel like, you know, my 30s are a little easier than my 20s, but
no, that's so true, because there are career pivots happening. Like Sandy lives underwater now. She had a whole career as an astronaut. Now she's under the water. Like lives have been lived between these characters. Pearl is a teenage girl. That's
Pearl,
Famously.
Pearl is a teenager.
Yes.
Pearl, and SpongeBob, we should understand to be older. Okay, great. I think we locked it in. SpongeBob's
Yeah.
30.
I do have one piece of Ethan Slater and Tell the Bees lore.
Oh my God.
I've never met him. I like sat in the audience, but it's crazy when SpongeBob was like premiering.
Mhm.
I was interning at Nickelodeon, and so
Ooh.
I got to see him. I was in an auditorium of like 40 people at the Viacom offices, and he came out and did whatever the main song
Mhm.
was, like I Want to Be Me or I Want to Be a Sponge or
Oh,
whatever.
Yeah.
And he came out and I was like, he was really good. Never thought about him again until 8 years later when he came to
That's
terrorize
very
Wicked.
similar to how I experienced him, which is that we went for my sister's birthday to see the SpongeBob musical because she was a big SpongeBob fan. We watched it. It's a way better musical than it has any business to be. It's actually
Mhm.
great. They got a bunch of like really famous people to do the different music for it. It's
Mhm.
really fun. All-star cast. Stephanie Shu plays Karen, the computer wife.
Mhm.
Great stuff going on. And afterwards, me and my sister would always be like, wow, that guy who played SpongeBob was really good. Like, that's
Mhm.
actually hard to lead a 90-minute show and be SpongeBob and play it well, but also not be annoying, sing all the songs. He did like a backflip.
Yeah.
He was really putting everything,
about the backflip, yeah.
everything
He
into
has
it.
backflip energy.
Yeah.
He has big, short guy that can do a backflip.
And you know what? You gotta lean into what you got, okay?
Exactly.
So now that we know,
Now that we have the Ethan Slater lore. So Ethan Slater plays Bach in the Wicked movie, which is, guys, you just have to look up Wicked. We can't get into all that,
There's too
but
much there.
there's too much there. But he's not the main romantic lead. He is a secondary but well-known character in Wicked. But they met on the set of the Wicked movie. At the time that they met, when Wicked began filming, Ariana Grande was married to that guy, Dalton Gomez,
Dalton.
who was like a real estate
estate
man or
Yes.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Ariana Grande is married to a real estate agent named Dalton Gomez.
Yeah.
And Ethan Slater is married to his high school sweetheart, Lily J, and they have an 11-month-old son at
Yes.
this time. Ariana Grande splits with her husband in January 2023. The first story where TMZ talks about Ariana Grande and Ethan Slater dating comes out on July 20th, 2023. And the first initial pieces about them all take time to be like, they've both split from their partners. Like there's like an E piece and an Us Weekly piece that are very like, and they and their partner of he and his wife are separated. But then pretty quickly, fans start looking at Ethan's Instagram and being like, okay, well, you posted Happy Mother's Day to the best mom in the world on her first Mother's Day 2 months ago. So like, what's going on here? Ethan Slater ends up shutting down his Instagram for a time so that people can't keep digging up all these very recent posts of him being like, I love my wife and our newborn baby. So
Very recent.
yeah, like he tries to shut that down. Then right around that time, Page 6 comes out with a source that says Ethan's wife was completely blindsided by the news that Ariana Grande and Ethan are dating. They say that he dumped his wife very suddenly. She like was under the impression their marriage was fine, and then suddenly he was leaving her. And on July 27th, we get the shot heard around the world when Lily says Ariana is not a girl's girl.
Wow.
Not a girl's girl.
Which was
Yeah.
very discourse-inducing. I feel, and that was also Barbie summer because it's July
Yes.
2023. So it's like to be called not a girl's girl during Barbie summer is like
That's harsh.
that's really
really
a
harsh.
takedown.
Yes.
That's one of the worst times to not be a girl's girl.
Yeah, I mean now, you know, post Trump getting elected again, there's a lot of not
America's
girls,
not a girl's girl.
America's not a girl's girl. White women left and right, none of them are girls' girls.
Yeah, many
But-
went to the polls and said, I'm not,
I'm
a,
not
girl's
a girl's
girl.
girl. But in 2023, when we were all wearing pink and dancing to Dua Lipa,
To be a
fucking
girl, you had to
lethal.
be a girl's girl.
You had to be a
So-
girl's girl.
The specific quote was, Ariana, is the story really not a girl's girl. My family is just collateral damage. So that's when the discourse around this first begins. Do you guys remember your impressions of this discourse when it first began discoursing?
I, as someone who is very unfortunately like I grew up on Oh No They Didn't, shout out to the real ones. I had been hearing whispers, and when everything broke, like officially, which aka the like paid off sources of like Us Weekly and OK Magazine, the like D tier magazines, I was like, okay, someone is paying them off to say, because it was one sentence at the very end of the pieces that was like, and they were both separated. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh,
And-
yeah, sure. But the rumors on set, not to like quote blind items and like allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
People on set, there was an article that like was pulled from the internet after July 2023 that was talking about like Ethan and Ariana holding hands on set and like making out. I will be quite honest. I believe that she left Dalton, but he was definitely still with Lily and they were making out on set. Like it was an open secret. Everyone on set knew. And then people were like, girl, what? And then when they like formally came out and he dumped his wife and his 11-month-old baby, that's when obviously the discourse exploded.
Yeah, so from what I've heard and read about Ariana and Dalton was like they got together either during the pandemic or right before, and like he didn't really grasp, like it just didn't seem like a good long-term match. He didn't really grasp how famous she was.
Yes.
So then post-pandemic, they'd be out and like she'd be swarmed and all this stuff. And he's like, what the fuck is this? And then also she'd constantly be on vocal rest. So he's like in a big mansion with his wife who like they can't do anything and also she's quiet all the time. Like that's what I've heard about that. And then with the Ethan thing, in terms of like the discourse and what I know and like friends of friends and mutual, and we've been doing comedy for a million years, like she has that reputation of, you know, she likes she's a Cancer like me. We love hard. We are love, but yeah, like just from things I've heard, friends of friends, whatever, like she has that. So I wasn't surprised. And also like it came straight from Lily, you know, like it was from like, and that was part of the discourse too, was that Page Six kind of like got this woman, you know, I think
that she didn't really fully I remember
that
on
she
the
record.
That she was like
It
didn't
was
really fully get that she was on the record
Yeah.
talking to a Page Six reporter when she said the not a girl's girl thing.
Yeah, like I think that Ethan was always well known, like you guys knew him as the SpongeBob guy, but he wasn't ever like super famous where like the wife has to be media trained.
Yeah.
So she's probably going through one of the most traumatic things. She has this newborn in this house. Her husband's been gone for a fucking job. And then someone calls and like, I guess to confirm, and she doesn't know to say like this, like, oh, this is all like off the record or something. And then she says that and then it gets published. Like I really felt for the wife.
Yeah.
And I think the like greater online felt for the wife, like that was like kind of the narrative.
I feel like most people didn't really care one way or another about Ariana Grande and Dalton Gomez in any way. It was all about the fact that Ethan whatever you believe about the level of overlap, the truth of the matter is in May he was posting happy first Mother's Day to the greatest mother in the world, like I love you and our son, and in July he's dating Ariana Grande. So whatever you want to think happened in between those two times, either way, I think anyone can understand that would be significant whiplash for the mother of a 1-year-old child whose husband has probably been, because they filmed that in London. So he'd been away. Yeah. And stuff started to come out that, like, they had dinner together as a family. She was like, Ariana Grande held my baby. It was getting messy. And so, okay, these are some common discourses that were happening that immediately popped up. Number one, Ethan Slater is ugly.
Well,
which is something people feel very comfortable sharing their thoughts on online. I'm not saying it. I didn't say. I'm saying this is what people are saying.
Yeah.
I'm doing the Fox News thing of like people are saying.
People are saying. People are eating cats and dogs. Jesus fucking Christ.
People, me, parentheses.
Yeah.
People are saying.
I mean, I could see somebody like I could see with like. There's some guys in pictures, whatever. Then you meet them and they got a je ne sais quoi,
Yeah.
I think
and all that, and like the swag, and then he's good at it and all that stuff.
Jeremy
like
Allen White.
I'm not
Yeah.
and that's what I say. I'm not gonna discount. You know, is the pictures doing it? But could I see? It's like a guy who's like mid, but then you see him play music, and you're like, damn.
Yeah, I think that people were projecting the personality of SpongeBob onto Ethan Slater as well in a funny way. Like
SpongeBob would never cheat on his wife.
Yeah, that's true. SpongeBob would never
and say
cheat.
that.
Okay.
SpongeBob would never cheat on his
Period.
wife.
Boy, SpongeBob's kind of gay, right? Isn't that like the thing?
Well, that's other discourse.
Well,
that's another
Is
episode.
SpongeBob gay? Is SpongeBob a gay 30-year-old man?
Well,
Oh God.
anyway, sorry.
So that's like one thing is people are just there's I wrote down like just general clowning of Ethan Slater as a person. People are pulling old interviews of him where he seems corny and playing that, just generally not liking him in general. Then there's the Ariana Grande is a chronic man stealer discourse.
I was waiting to bring that up.
Yeah.
Well, I was hoping someone else would bring it up.
Yeah.
I
but-
did. I brought it up.
Yeah. But like the streets, according to the streets, obviously not a cited source.
Yeah.
Her last 4 relationships have been with a degree of overlap, let's say.
Yes.
Like,
I mean, that's what I've heard from my sources.
My
Sources
sources-
have stated.
Yeah.
Well, I think in Naya Rivera's book,
Famously.
she talks about overlap with Ariana Grande and who was she with? I'm forgetting again.
Big Sean.
Big Sean. That like she went back to their house once and Ariana Grande was just there at their house.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's another thing is like Ariana Grande as man stealer.
One of my load-bearing tweets from years ago, like Black Twitter, was Big Sean's girlfriends keep getting younger and more Spanish. The next thing you know, he's going to be dating Dora the Explorer. It's literally been in my head for like 10 years because I'm like, well, yes. Like, yeah.
But Ariana Grande's was doing brown fit. You know,
Yeah,
that
no,
when
that
she
was when
what?
we thought she was Spanish.
That's what I thought she was Latina
Yeah.
too for a while, but
No,
No.
she's doing the Italian girl
she's
thing.
the Italian.
Yeah.
She's
The Italian X.
the Italian X.
Italian A.
Yeah. Italian A. Yeah, Italian
We're
A.
moving it to Italian A.
Yeah,
it actually makes
Italian
more
A.
sense with the language.
She's a Miami gay. What was I gonna say? Yeah.
Just general, like they're both bad, messy people. The discourse is just discoursing in
Yeah.
a major way. Peaks kind of between July and August of 2023, but will flare up occasionally when they're seen like out together. They move in together in October. This picture of Ethan Slater in Spamalot dressed as a baby sparks a lot of people really were not comfortable with this picture.
And you showed it to us with
And
no
I did
trigger
show it to
warning,
you just so
nothing.
that you guys
It's
can
horrifying.
remember. Yeah, it's like Ethan Slater dressed up, and we'll include this in the roundup
Yeah.
of our episode, but it's Ethan Slater dressed up as a giant baby. I think some people responded to it because they didn't really understand that this is like, I think him backstage at Spamalot for something to do with Spamalot, which he was like in the revival on Broadway at the time. So I think people were confused as to why he was dressed as a giant baby.
The memory of the kid he left or something.
Oh my
Why are
God.
you? Now you're your own baby.
Remember the kid that he don't see it no more? Sorry, Josh. Josh is like, what kind of wretched ass shit?
No,
am I-"
I'm being very good. I will say, because on TikTok, I recently talked about them, and I know you're going through the timeline, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No.
And I was like, his 6-week-old baby, and I'm like, oh, the baby was 11 months, which isn't better, but isn't worse? I don't know.
But I was going to say, like a general rule of dating that, you know, is like, you don't want a guy with a kid under 2 because it's still too messy. Like if the kid, you know, dating men with kids, like you get older, you know, it happens. But if somebody has a kid with like 2, like it's too much. Like it's versus like, you know, somebody whose kid is 10 and like, okay, they've worked on their shit, whatever.
Yeah, well, it is kind of a thing where if you know that the guy you're dating has an 11-month-old, but he has time to hang out with you, it's like, okay, well, why?
Yeah.
Exactly.
What's your involvement with the 11-month-old, though?
Yeah.
Like, shouldn't you be changing diapers right now?
Well,
Yeah, and I did want to say on the record that, like, I stand by, and not to get into the, like, Paul Mescal, Phoebe Bridgers of it all, but that's
Which is
a
a
whole
whole
other...
other-
that's
That's-
a Ariana Grande, Ethan Slater for people who carry the New York mag totes.
Yeah.
Okay?
For depressed people,
For
yeah.
for people who don't leave their house and listen to Claro. Hashtag Claro Shade.
For the losers of loserdom.
Wait, hold on. I like Claro. no, continue. But yes,
But on
Phoebe
the
Bridgers.
record, I, like, want to say that even if, okay, whatever, the baby's 11 months old versus 6 weeks old, like, if you are having very serious, intimate conversations with your coworker about leaving your spouses for each other, it actually doesn't matter if you, like, kissed or not. Because people are like, well, the comments, the Arianators and the stands and in the comments are like, it doesn't matter because they never touch and they never kiss and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no. If you talk to your
That's emotional
coworker
leaving, yeah.
about leaving your wife / your husband for each other, you're cheating. Like, that is,
Yeah.
that's not better. That's
Yeah.
actually worse.
Yeah, and again, even if things didn't get physical in whatever happened between those 2 months of him like posting about his wife and whatever, it's like clearly you guys had an understanding that you were gonna get together once you were single in a way that would feel like a betrayal, I think, to the mother of your pretty recently born child.
Yeah, like I think, right, if I had a friend who like was dating somebody and then they broke up like Monday morning, and by Monday afternoon she's sleeping with her coworker.
Oh,
Like, but they
You
never
knew.
did anything
Yeah.
physical, right? Like, is that cheating? And it's like, well, that's an emotional affair, and to
Yes.
some people, sociology, psychology. In my college class, we talked about like how men and women view like different forms of cheating as bigger betrayals, and
mhm.
if you're a woman and your partner sleeps with someone once, like that hurts obviously, but like if you find out they're having an emotional affair,
Mhm.
that's like the deepest betrayal. Versus male partners, if the wife is having an emotional affair, they can get over, but a physical affair is worse for whatever.
Yeah,
That's
there's
what I
like
found,
psychological things going
impact.
on there.
So the fact is, whether they kissed or not, it was a violation, quote unquote, or, whatever.
Exactly.
Okay, so at this point, also like Ariana starts promoting Eternal Sunshine, her album, and there are like vague references to Ethan Slater in the album itself. Some songs are thought to be about him. She releases Yes and that kind of has this like
Messy lyrics.
messy lyrics, this kind of oppositional stance
Of
to
like
her
mind your
fans.
own business.
Yeah,
like, leave
don't
me
talk
alone.
about exactly.
The
This mind your own-
media.
the
Yes.
tabloids, etc. And that's also goes along with kind of her public statements at this time, where it'll be like just general stuff about like, well, the tabloids don't ever get things right, or
Mhm.
etc. etc. We don't really hear her talk about Ethan Slater directly until the Vanity Fair interview written by friend of the pod, Chris Murphy.
Yeah, we love
Mhm.
Chris Murphy.
And
He's
that
great.
is where she first says, the most disappointing part was to see so many people believe the worst version of it. There couldn't be a less accurate depiction of a human being than the one that the tabloids spread about him being Ethan Slater. No one on this earth tries harder or spreads themselves thinner to be there for the people that he loves and cares about. There is no one on this earth with a better heart, and that is something that no bullshit tabloid can rewrite in real life. So this begins what I would say is the start of the Ethan Slater Ari press redemption.
Yes.
Which is a phenomenon that you talk about in American Cheating. So what do you think are like the hallmarks of how this type of thing tends to go?
Yeah, so for the listeners, American Cheating is my name for this concept that I came up with that I'd been noticing a lot as like a student of gossip, right? I have this sociology background and I love celebrity gossip, so I love to like intellectualize these things, but it's something that I very much noticed. Basically the two, as you said earlier, like the two celebrities will cheat and then they'll get together, but like the most important part of it is that the media will sort of help them sanitize the narrative by saying, "Oh, let's follow their love story," or like let's post their like People magazine loves posting a timeline. Like, here's a timeline of their relationship, and you click on the timeline and it's like no mention of the fact that there was overlap. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, but like this is just inaccurate and sloppy reporting, right? Like you are helping these people sort of enact a brand new fantasy of this life together that's sort of disrespectful to their original partners. And like obviously there's a conversation to be had around like how much do you care about the former partners and aren't they allowed to be happy? Aren't people allowed to move on? People get divorced all the time. But it's also like, yeah, but we can see the baby. Like
Yeah.
Lily J is watching this. She's reading People magazine too. Like these people exist. And like, unfortunately, as a celebrity, this is part of your lore. This is part of your narrative. You can't just like pretend that it didn't happen. And it's crazy because like I'd been talking about this in November of 2022 with the Heartburn saga. So like
I don't know that one.
that was
Oh,
from the
Nora
70s.
Ephron?
Nora
Yeah.
Ephron
Oh, okay,
was
yeah.
8 months pregnant when the guy from Watergate, Carl Bernstein, left her for some like British prime minister's daughter. And Nora Ephron was pissed off, so she wrote about it, and she got canceled for it in the
Wow.
70s. People were like, "This is very disrespectful. How dare you do this to him? He's in a new relationship. He has a baby.
Wow.
Like you are extremely inappropriate. You're tacky. You're evil." Like she had to give him half of the money from Heartburn, I believe. You
Wow.
can source check me on that, but I'm 95% sure that they worked out some settlement when they wanted to make the movie. She had to like pay him out because she was
Jesus
talking about their
Christ.
real life. And like for the rest of both of their lives, whenever anyone brought it up, it was seen as inappropriate and tacky of her. Like she was the
That's
villain,
so
even though
interesting.
she was pregnant when he left her.
Wow, and you see how society has changed.
Yeah.
And this is why they want to make America great again. They want to go back to that. Oh, that shit. And also, I will say, I really love like you framed it as American cheating, because Dominican cheating, everyone cheats, but we stay together forever.
Oh my God.
And we kind of ignore it, and the man will sleep with anything, but the woman cheats only with one person. But that's the violation, and that is why we're all in therapy.
Yes.
No, but sorry, that was a joke.
No.
But I was gonna say that the thing that really struck me about this whole narrative is that Ariana keeps saying tabloids, 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 and it's like, whether you like it or not, and like whether Lily was exploited or not, this shit came out of her mouth.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, she said, I was blindsided, and she's not a girl's girl. There's no way a tabloid could spin that.
Well, it is also interesting to me because it is this thing of being like, the narrative isn't true. And I'm like, so what is true?
Right.
Then? Because they never, like, she never explicitly says what is true. Like, she's never fully come out and been like, they were separated when we got together.
Yeah.
Like, that's not, it's, we go back last week, we were talking about Nicole Scherzinger and the Trump vote or whatever. And it's like, but she didn't say in her apology, I voted for Kamala.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, so then like we know
Right.
you would
Yeah.
say I voted for Kamala if you voted for Kamala.
Yeah.
You would say they were not together when we got together, but
Mhm.
instead it's always this like, the tabloids are getting it wrong, or the
Mhm.
tabloids are spinning it. And it's like, okay, but then what's right?
Spin it back,
It's
bitch.
spinning-
Let's
Yeah.
get vertigo.
spin it
Come on.
Well, she is spinning it back, because like all the stuff that we're seeing now,
Mhm.
where I did a TikTok like last week, I think, where
Mhm.
it's like, now we're getting, look at the start of their wicked love story,
Yes.
and like everything
my
is so
God.
beautiful. The Cut published something this morning I saw, that was like, this is how they got together. We're watching it happen in real time, which is crazy, because like I've never seen it happen beat for beat the way that I've talked about it in
Yes.
2022. I'm like, I predicted every step, every narrative, like notes app apology. And like what you were saying earlier about like her refusal to actually say what happened is almost very Trumpian. It speaks to this moment that we're in America. Because like, remember in 2016 when Trump first won, and people were like, that like list of all the lies he told during
Yeah.
the debate, and his response to every time he lied was like, no, I didn't. Like, it's
Yeah.
almost like arguing with a 5-year-old, because they're like, well, that's not true. And
Yeah.
you can't like argue with someone who's fully, it's not even gaslighting. I don't even know what the word for it is. It's so repugnant and intense, because like her story, her narrative is just like, well, that's not true. And like, you can't
Okay.
argue
Yeah, it's
with.
just fake news. Like,
Right.
it's basically saying fake news. So, okay, really quickly before we move on to Grasshole, I do want to go through. So this is what I consider to be the first shot of the new narrative being fired, which is a picture Ariana Grande posted at the Sydney premiere that's just has Ethan Slater tagged, and it's him holding her train walking down the
He's
stairs.
a supportive partner who loves her
Yeah,
and
it
is
started,
doting.
and I started to see
Mhm.
that narrative popping up. Look how cute. He's holding her dress. How sweet is that? Then this is literally, I just Googled Ariana Grande and Ethan Slater today. These are the headlines that first came up. TMZ, Ariana Grande, my love for Ethan Slater is wicked. PDA at film premiere. In style, Ariana Grande and Ethan Slater had sweet PDA moment on Wicked red carpet. Page 6, Ariana Grande sweetly fixes boyfriend Ethan Slater's bow tie at Wicked premiere. It's all it's almost the same headline over and over. And so I guess my final question for you, and just for us to talk about in general on this, is like, to what degree do you feel like this is just fully bought and paid for, like Ariana Grande and Ethan Slater's team being like, run a story about their sweet PDA at the premiere? And what is just like that they all receive subliminal marching orders, kind of?
I think it's sort of 100% paid for, in the sense that like they are receiving marching orders being like, this is the story. And like the way that Lily J was sort of quietly excised from the narrative, we never heard from her again. I'm not saying that she was paid off allegedly, but like we literally never heard from her again. Like, she's not spoken. She doesn't say anything. The narrative has shifted in the last 2 months, especially after the Vanity Fair interview, after like all of these headlines. There is this very specific thing of like, we are this very sweet couple. He is so cute. He is so sweet. He's so innocent, right? Like, there was that thing with the friendship bracelets at one of the premieres. People gave him a friendship bracelet. He like made this little face. And all of a sudden, all of the comments were people being like, we misunderstood them. We were wrong all along. He's actually so cute. He's so
Yeah,
sweet.
he's actually a sweet man.
Yeah.
Like,
So here's my counterpoint to that, right? I would say that the tabloids are doing some kind of service to make sure that people know that Ethan Slater is not Frankie Grande. And she's not kissing her brother on the red carpet.
That's important.
And also, because she's from Florida. She's a white woman from Florida.
Oh my God.
People might get the wrong idea. So it is important for the tabloids to say, guys, that's not Frankie Grande. That is indeed Ethan Slater. She's not kissing her brother so that's the PD, because they keep saying PDA, and it's like, guys, she's not kissing her brother.
Well, if I can make some gay-on-gay violence,
Gay-on-gay violence.
you can see Frankie Grande from like a mile away. He's like a disco ball. The hair is 7 feet tall. He's always wearing something sparkly. He's always in a heel. He's always painted. He boots the house down. Like, we would know if she was kissing Frankie.
Okay, but I'm just saying, right?
Less well-versed people might not understand.
But I'm just saying, right? Without that glam, Frankie and Ethan would be at the same audition.
And say that, yes.
You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. We're talking about genre of man, 5'6".
People might be confused.
People might be confused.
No, that's very real.
You ever see the side by side of Frankie and Ethan?
Eerie.
Eerie.
So as we look forward in the like whitewashing of the Ariana Grande and Ethan Slater relationship, what do you think like comes next?
I think we're at the like nadir. It's sort of over where it's like, this is the new narrative. This is what everyone is marching with. There's like this concerted effort from like the bots and the psyops and the comments just being like, we love them. They're cute. And it's like, because I'm doing the Lord's work by like constantly talking about this on TikTok, and all the comments, 90% of the comments are like, why do you care? Get over it. They're in love. It's over. And it's like, it is over in a sense. Like, there is nothing more to be said. If every single major publication at this point is like, they're in love, they're sweet, they're together, no mention of the baby, no mention of Lily J, it's like, it's almost like, what can you do?
It's done.
Okay, here's my prediction. Before Wicked 2 or around Wicked 2 premiere, they're going to get engaged.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
They're going to get engaged.
Okay, this is our second official prediction made on the pod. The first one that I made,
Kamala was going to go on Call Her Daddy.
and it happened.
Oh,
so
wow.
now we are saying,
I'm saying
before Wicked 2, they're engaged.
They're engaged.
Okay, we've heard it here.
Because Wicked 2's in a year.
Yeah.
1 year.
So by
That's
then
perfect.
we'll be like sanitized, clean.
Yeah.
They're gonna be lovey-dovey sometime around, because Wicked 2 is what, like Thanksgiving next year.
Yeah, like 1 year. No, I
Halloween,
think that's really smart.
they'll get
Millie,
engaged Halloween.
I think you're really onto something.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna move on to our next segment. I just wanted to do the shortest cursed content ever to ask: Did anyone here have any feelings about Mike Tyson fighting Jake Paul? Is there anything anyone?
2 words. Elder abuse.
Elder abuse.
Trump. It
It's
all
Trump.
comes back to the election.
Okay,
I'm like,
great.
this is-
I think that we covered everything
Yeah.
that needs to be said about that
Yeah.
situation, but I did feel that it needed to be acknowledged that, that
They fought,
occurred.
Yeah.
All right, Millie, do you want to take over for Grasshole?
Yes, I do. Oh my gosh. Now we are going to our final segment of the podcast, where we choose one person of the week that needs to log off the most.
Yes, this person is our Grasshole. They need to touch grass more than anybody else.
On the internet. And it was hard because, of course, there was that guy who was on The Bachelor who keeps posting pictures of him dressed as a woman
Yeah.
and to troll us, but it's been 20 pictures, all different outfits, and all him with a big smile. Watch that space. But this is more grasshole behavior. That
Okay.
guy's disturbed.
That guy's a different situation.
That is a different situation. But this was a rabbit hole, right?
Mm-hmm.
The grasshole today is a woman by the name of Simran Sharma. And she has about 5,000 followers on Instagram, but 185,000 followers on TikTok.
Okay.
And her TikTok name is @SimiRants. So from what I gather, Simi Rants is one of those people who is very honest and shares a lot about her life, even though it's not perfect, which I think people enjoy, right? She has, as we think of like influencers, there's influencers that like are aspirational, especially Instagram and stuff, of like, look how beautiful my house, whatever. I feel like TikTok has this new genre of influencers of like, look at me rough it.
Yeah.
Look at me whatever. Like, look at my like shitty life. Because
look at my shitty life.
and like
is
people
so
have
funny.
questions, you know. So she has experienced homelessness, and she like posted through it, and she was formerly incarcerated and all this stuff. So Simi Rent's most popular TikTok is a video from December 2022 where I guess she was vlogging regularly, and people constantly were like, how the fuck do you have a phone if you don't have a place to live? And she talked about, like, it's okay to have a cell phone while you're homeless. And she unboxed one of the phones the government gives to homeless people. And it was 4.9 million views that got, like, of her, So her other two popular videos is one where she shares about how Dove deodorant has helped with discoloration under her pits. That has 4 million views. And another one is a Dollar Tree haul, and that has 2.4 million views. So it's, again, like, the influencer of, like, and I've seen this too, and maybe it's a recession indicator of, like, it is a recession indicator of, like, people don't want to see, like, just, people, oh, look at my beautiful house, whatever. People are like, what can I get at the Dollar Tree? What, like, regular products, or what is it like to be homeless? Like, what are you eating?
Because I might be fucking homeless.
Because I mean, fucking dark, right? So anyway, right? So she's just, really honest, right? So the homelessness thing was 2022. Nowadays, she's posting 3 to 6 videos a day, and she's always doing TikTok lives. And she does, like, Dollar Tree hauls, Taimu hauls. She's telling her business. She's putting everything out. She has a lot of haters. There are multiple snark accounts about her on Reddit.
We are always talking about snark accounts, and I'm just like, I did not realize the culture of snark accounts until we started doing this podcast.
There's a huge culture of snark accounts, and I will have to say that she has a very active snark Discord that helped me craft this thing today. And guys, shout out to the snark Discord. They were very helpful. They're like, let us know if you have any questions. We know her whole shit.
That is a different level of having haters to me, that they are, like, responding in real time to
They're
questions.
responding in real time and things, and they're sending me, let me tell you something, right? Again, Simi is very messy. She's always dating a new guy. She's very transparent, kind of a hot mess. People are along for the show. I do have to say that she does say, like, kind of racist shit sometimes too, like problematic. She's like a problematic person. And to play the other side, this was not my experience of the Simi Discord people. But I will say that I did see, like, some fat shaming, fat phobia in the snark pages. So I can't 100 be like, these people are great, because, like, there's some crazy shit there. 2022, she does that video about homelessness. I guess she gets back on her feet. 2021, she tries to hit someone with her car or something. Or she tries to hit someone with her
Okay.
So she tries to hit someone with her car. She gets arrested for that. The Snimey Snark Discord helped me find the court documents that showed she tried to hit someone with her car. And also she has, like, a gun charge and a drug charge, and she gets sent to jail for 11 months.
Oh my God. Wow. That's for real.
That's for real. So she now lives in a halfway house, in a transitional home, right? Why is she the grasshole this week? None of that shows why she's the grasshole, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's all kind of like, it's honestly fucking interesting. Like, you know what I mean? She's a good vlogger. She has the present, whatever. Well, Simon.
I'm like, okay, what?
Simon was on a live a few days ago. And I guess in the halfway house, she has to share a room with somebody else who's also in the halfway house, right? Simi was talking on TikTok live about her roommate, which a woman by the name of Markia. So she was like, look at my roommate. She panned to the roommate. So she's like, my roommate was supposed to move out to a new apartment and get, like, a new housing, but she got fucking rejected, and now she's back here, and look at all her shit, and she's talking mad shit about the roommate on TikTok live.
Oh, no.
And she's like, look at all her shit, and, like, you see, like, you pan to all her roommate's stuff in garbage bags.
Oh, that's not nice.
And she was being very cruel and mean about it, right? Well, guys, while Simi was on live, somebody contacted her roommate.
Oh no.
And found
oh no.
And found Markia's socials. And halfway through the live, Markia comes and confronts her.
Oh my God.
So now let's watch a clip of the live where she's getting confronted.
Okay, why the fuck are you on your live talking shit about me?
Because this is part of my life, by the way. I live here.
So if you get your ass beat, so if you get your ass beat, you think you're gonna beat my ass? So if you get your ass beat, I give a fuck that you think you're gonna beat my ass? So if you get your ass beat, then what? Try to hit me. This is why I'm on live.
They'll record it.
So you're on live so that you can basically start shit.
You're literally going crazy for no reason.
So you're on. You only get on live so you can start shit.
No, I get on live because that's what I do. You remember every day?
You just said it yourself. You said
over
this is
time
why I'm on live. You just said this is why I'm on live.
Yeah, this is real for sure.
This is why I'm on live.
To talk to my friends, yes. This is what I do every day.
To start shit. So that, and then when somebody come and beat your ass, then you got it on. What you mean try? I don't gotta try, bitch. I could fucking run you all around this goddamn
And that's
room.
why you've been kicked out of everywhere, right?
So fucking what? And
so right, we hear that. And what you guys missed is that obviously the comments are like, wait, what the fuck is going on? Whatever.
Is this real?
Is this real? And one of my favorite things is you can send gifts on TikTok. You can send like a rose or whatever, and they're worth whatever. Somebody did send boxing gloves.
Oh,
guys, well, what was cut out was the roommate did beat her ass.
I had a feeling it was going
She beat her ass. She beat her ass on TikTok Live. Which is
on TikTok Live.
On TikTok Live.
Oh.
Of course, the full video is on X. Guys, I can't exit this out of X yet. But the crazy thing is that Simi calls the cops and makes herself a victim. And she's like, oh, I wasn't doing anything. So then the internet's like, no, you were antagonizing this woman.
Putting her on blast to hundreds of thousands of people. She has over 100,000 followers. It's like, she should understand more than anyone that a halfway house is like a really vulnerable place to be. You're going to show somebody's stuff. You're going to like put them on blast like that. And then also, you're going to talk shit about somebody who like could walk in at any moment. You know, you have to be careful when you're talking shit. This is something, my dad is the king of not hanging up the phone and continuing to talk and immediately talking shit about someone. This has happened to my dad more than I've ever heard of anyone. Where he's left voicemails for people where he's talking shit about them.
Oh my God.
Where he refuses. It's happened.
It's the boomer version of this.
It literally is where and then like, the person gets mad and there's always drama. And I'm like, you have to stop talking shit immediately before and after phone calls that you're having with people. Like, you are bringing this upon yourself. And it's been happening for many years, you know?
Yeah.
I think that there is an ideological divide, like sort of like the Will Smith thing of like, are people allowed to beat your ass if you talk shit, right? Like, when you're from, New York or, say New York or Brooklyn, or like Miami, Detroit, Chicago, like there's an understanding in certain communities that like, talking shit is a beat-assable offense versus, most Americans, most white Americans will say, no, that's not. Like, I'm allowed to talk shit, right? Like, sticks and stones will break your bones. So, like, that's always good. I'm sure that the comments in the live are basically saying some version of that because it's like, some people don't believe that anything you say, even if it's showing someone's possessions in this very, very vulnerable state, like, there's nothing more devastating than being homeless and, like, having, your stuff in garbage bags. Like, that's fucked up.
And like making fun and using that for your content.
And saying like, this is what I do, and it's
I'm talking to my friends.
I'm talking to my friends.
Well,
like, keep
talking
it to
yourself.
Talk and about yourself.
So the Simi Discord said like, this is the second roommate that this has happened with. Like the other one, they don't have the video, but they have audio of the fight and all this stuff. Like, so after that, right, she gets her ass beat, whatever. Then cops get called, whatever. The girl, like, they get separated. Then she posts this video. And the caption is, turning trauma into comedy is so therapeutic.
Very much follows the chaotic theme of the day. Extra, read all about it. Rooms in bloom. Expand your space. Keeping my calm. I like to leave the trash outside. If it's left in the room too long, it sticks up the whole place. 2 trash dumps. Bye-bye. Some people need a pat on their back. Goodbye and good luck. Don't worry, though. He saw it. Better things.
So what she's doing is she's doing ASMR of her scrapbooking about the experience of getting her ass beat on TikTok Live. And the comments are like, well, don't whisper now. like then everyone's like, she's whispering so that the roommate don't come back. She thinks she's in the quiet place. But it's like, to talk so much shit that you get your ass beat and then to immediately post more.
To turn it into an ASMR video.
Of you scrapbooking about the beating. That's grasshole. Any other
I'm like shocked into silence. I literally don't even know. I think it is interesting. Okay, not to like, big brain it, but
no,
like,
we want to hear your big brain. That's why we got you here.
it's so crazy that like that personality type is also existing, and like obviously not in like a classist way. You guys, let me finish. Is also existing at like the halfway house, right? That like her brain immediately went to like, I have to create content about this.
Yeah.
That like, even though she's roughing it, as you said earlier, she's like, I have to post. I have to post. Like, her initial instinct is to like create content to like, I don't know if she's monetizing. I'm sure she is. If
She
she's
is
100,000. Yeah. She's monetizing. She's like, I got to turn this into content. Like I've talked about this before, but like the way that TikTok brain or posting brain will like warp your sense of reality and like turn all of your experiences into like bite-sized anecdotes for like sharing and consuming. It's kind of creepy. It's like weird.
I feel like culture, and we say this all the time, culture has shifted where there used to be this money hungry culture of no matter what, gotta make more money. And that culture would be seen of like her, like she gets her ass beat and immediately goes to work and works her shift or whatever. That has shifted to attention economy.
Yes.
Where it's all about like, how can I turn this into something? Content. It's like,
and it folds in on each other, because again, if she is monetizing, then it's like, okay, I've had this huge viral moment. It's hugely embarrassing for me. People are not saying nice stuff about me.
Yeah.
I've gotten my ass beat on TikTok Live, but I have to post through it because I monetize my TikTok and all of that stuff. Like, it sucks you in to have to create more and more and more.
the final update is that we're recording this late on Monday night, but at 7 p.m. Pacific time, which is like 11 p.m. this time, Markia is going on TikTok Live to share her side of the story.
Wow, okay.
She's sharing her side of the story. She's saying, you're going to hear from me. That's the only reason why I included her name is because she went on TikTok and she's going to collab with the other roommate.
Oh my
so
God.
they're reclaiming, let's talk about reclaiming narratives.
To create like a whole ecosystem of your ex-roommates who can now make content about you is like such a nightmare. I can't even.
Listen, there are many people in Brooklyn and Portland and San Francisco who can say the same.
Yeah.
Like, there's a whole world out there if
Yeah.
you connect enough dots. That's kind of terrifying, though, that, like, she immediately found this other person and is like, let's get together to talk shit.
Yeah.
What I found in the Snark Discord was that the ex-roommate is in the Snark Discord. So they all were, like, tagging, like, oh, is Alec going to be in the live? It's like, Alec, do you want to come on my live? Like, they're all, like, active.
If I had a legitimate real life enemy who also had a Snark Discord, I would absolutely be there as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
that
Well,
is
yes.
not, that would honestly be very healing. I
Yeah.
feel like, to be like, I just had a really bad roommate experience, but now they have a full Snark page.
Yeah, and they have 5,000 people who also just hate this person. Like, of course you're gonna join in on all the lives too.
Yeah.
So for the crime of making fun of your roommate in a halfway house, posting through it, getting your ass whipped on TikTok Live, and then scrapbooking it, we're gonna say, Simi Rants, go touch grass.
And that's the end of our episode.
And that's the end of our episode.
Josh, you've been such a delight to
Such
have
a delight.
here.
Thank you guys so much for having me. This was so fun.
Why don't you tell our listeners where they can find you, follow you, read your stuff, keep up with you?
Absolutely. So on TikTok and Instagram and Substack, I'm at Tell the Bees with 3 E's.
You can follow me at Millie_Tamarez on Instagram and TikTok. I'm still on X. We'll see how long that lasts, but it's Millie Tamarez. And now I'm on Blue Sky.
Yeah?
So I made 2 little Blue Sky posts because they're just talking about libraries there, guys. It's boring.
You seem really defeated.
Yeah,
You're like, I'm on Blue Sky.
Like, no one's being ratchet. I did follow I had a Twitter gay that I followed, and he's trying to post hoe on there, and I'm like, good. Like, he's posting like mirror selfies, and I'm like, this is exactly what the fuck I want back.
Yeah.
I want this.
We need to create the environment that
Yeah.
we want to see.
You gotta be the change you want to see in the world.
Guys, you can follow me on TikTok at Elise Navidad and on Instagram at Pandalise, and this podcast at Go Touch Grass Pod on everything. Should we get on Blue Sky? Should we get Go
let
Touch
us
Grass
know.
Pod
I
at
think
Blue
we should
Sky?
maybe get on Blue Sky.
should. I think we probably should. All right, guys, until next time,
Go
touch grass.
That was a HeadGum podcast.
Hi, I'm Caleb Heron, host of the So True podcast, now on HeadGum. Every week, me and my guests get into it and we get down to what's really going on. I ask them what's so true to them, how they got to where they are in life, a bunch of other questions, and we also may or may not test their general trivia knowledge, whether it's one of my sworn enemies like Brittany Broski or Drew Wallow, or my actual biological mother, Kelly. My guests and I are just after the truth, and if we find it, great, and if not, no worries. So subscribe to So True on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, or wherever you get your podcasts, and watch video episodes on the So True with Caleb Heron YouTube channel. New episodes drop every Thursday. Love ya.